fate of the universe lies on your shoulders. Now, whatever you do, don't push this button. Because that will set off the bomb immediately, and we'll all be dead. Now, repeat back what I just said.
I am Groot.
No! No, that's the button that will kill everyone. Try again.
I am Groot.
Mm-hmm.
I am Groot.
Uh-huh.
I'm Groot.
No!
Hey guys, welcome back to Absolutely Understood. I'm Adrian Ramirez.
Marcus Nartatez.
And we just got out of watching the highly anticipated Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Dos.
Oh,
That
man.
was
That would have been close. That would have been
close.
cool if we got
That
the
was
same thing. That's how you know we don't practice beforehand. But
Not at all. No prep. We just got out.
as we all are, we're giant fans of the first Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yes, definitely top 3 Marvel film. Probably comic book hero films out there for me. The first one, at least.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the first one in theaters 5 times. I'd rather not talk about that, though. So we just got out. We have our fresh reactions, so let's talk about it. Let's start with the good.
The good, it played to what the first one, what made the first one successful.
Yeah.
If you watched our parking lot previews, it did what I wanted it to do. It stayed true to what it was. It was a comedy with some very serious moments in it, and some great action. It did very well, and there wasn't that much character development in this one.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't need it. We knew who Gamora was. We knew who Rocket was. Groot. All that. Peter.
Yeah.
So we knew all. We had some characters have bigger roles than before that were outside of the group. But we more or less knew who everybody was.
Yeah. No, definitely. I was a real big fan of the stuff with Yondu. There's I think he's one of those characters that got a lot of growth in this movie. You find out a lot more about him, and he definitely comes into his own. He was probably one of my favorites in this one.
Yeah, he was one of those characters in the first one where he was... I liked everything every time I saw him on screen, and he was kind of like, I wish I saw more of him.
Yep.
He played a part, but not... He was kind of like a secondary part of the main story.
Yeah.
He was like a side story. This one he plays a little bit more, right there, right in with the, with the main story. And like you said, he is probably the one character who had a little bit more development into him.
Yeah. And I mean, another positive for me is I feel like all of these there's a lot of members in the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? So at least 5. And I think that a lot of them had a good amount of equal screen time. We got, more backstory than we got in the first one of every character, not just the new ones. And I think it played very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We dove deeper into Rocket, into Drax, and I think it worked in spades.
And we didn't even discuss how absolutely beautiful this movie is.
Yeah, no, the set design.
We saw it
perfect.
in BXT.
Yeah.
One of those special ones with the curved screen and high definition and in 3D. And I'm not usually a big 3D fan. If you watched this show before, I mentioned that several times. I loved it. There were some scenes I was just... It was beautiful.
Yeah.
You got a real sense of vast when you needed to, and when you're in space.
And I think it makes sense because
colors.
The first time we saw set pieces like this in this Marvel Cinematic Universe was in the first Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Since then, we saw it a little bit in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of it in Doctor Strange. It looks like we're getting more in Ragnarok. But Guardians is proving why they were the first and probably the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the planets were cool. It's like... It's so different from just staying on Earth, and it's kind of like a Star Trek feel, seeing all the different planets.
Yeah, there's definitely some
aliens,
some Star Wars feel to me.
Yeah.
With some of the jet fighter planes and some of those scenes. I don't think that's giving anything away. It's space. It was in the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely it's a Marvel film, but it's also has that uniqueness.
Yeah, and last positive for me, I would put the villain up there.
Yes,
I think it was a lot better than Ronan, because that was probably the biggest detriment in the first one.
I didn't hate Ronan.
But he was just evil for evil's sake, I felt like. But this villain, I think, there was emotional weight to him. There was served the story. His being there and his being the villain, definitely
or them
or
being
her,
the villain.
him or her, of course. That's what I meant. But I thought it played very well for the story.
Yeah. So I agree. That's kind of one of the first things I said is that Marvel got a good villain.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. I think you're right on the spot with that because they are known for their weaker villains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's switch over to the negative. I've got some pretty glaring ones. The main one, I'll start. Baby Groot. I thought and this was my fear going in, that they would rely too much on him. I thought there was a lot of extra stuff just to point out, you know what I mean? I felt like some of it was, hey, let's, all the kids are going to love this, you know what I mean? And
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think you got to remember, I think you got to put yourself in the shoes of, there were people in the crowd that loved Baby Groot.
Yeah.
They oohed and awed and he was cute. And I think just because it doesn't work for us doesn't mean it didn't work for the film. I think some people, that's going to be their highlight. If they were in front of the camera instead of us today, it's going to be like, Groot, oh my god, I'm going to get a stuffed animal Groot.
Yeah.
Groot. So it played for some people, but it may not play for you. It's one of those things. It's kind of a we're going to gamble on this because that probably is going to be their biggest. No one's going to go out and buy a Peter Quill a plush doll.
Yeah.
But or singing plush singing plant version of Gamora. But I'm telling you, Groot's gonna be like, that's gonna be the baby Groot's. It's cute. It's cute.
They'll make their money back on Baby Groot.
And there were certain times they knew it. You could tell that they knew they were pushing the shit out of Baby Groot.
Yeah, they went to the. I feel like they went to the well too many times. It was just like everything in moderation.
There was some. It was a little bit, and that was kind of my gripe. It wasn't with Groot so much, but there were a couple jokes that there were more jokes, but because there were more jokes, there were more opportunities to miss on those jokes.
Yeah,
or make those jokes go a little bit too long. And there were a few where I'm like, okay, ha ha ha. That was funny. And then they kind of go back to it a little bit too much. Like the name of one of the Ravagers. It wasn't funny the first time, and I was disappointed even more the 8th time around.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like we talked about this in the car, but I feel like the difference between this one and the first Guardians was the first scene in the first Guardians it's probably one of the heaviest scenes in all of Marvel. It's right up there with the opening of Up, right? So it's very heart-wrenching and serious, and then they can springboard off of that, and because the movie is grounded. This movie has moments like that, but they're not until maybe the third act, and that's why a lot of the beginning for me feels like, joke, almost like a sitcom. You know what I mean?
But I feel like since we've already seen, if just a continuation from the beginning, I thought it would have been weird if it started out again depressing, because that was depressing.
But
the first one,
if you start at that high level, there's only so much more you can go up. If you start from here, you know what I mean. You can gradually go up.
I think it wouldn't have worked so much in this, in the second. We already know who Peter Quill is and how lighthearted it is and stuff like that. So I didn't think they needed to necessarily start with it.
Yeah.
I'm glad there were some aspects of it later on.
Yeah.
We won't go into detail, but definitely there. But no, I definitely the good outweigh the bad in this movie. Is it as good as the first one?
No.
Like almost every sequel ever,
Except The Dark Knight.
Except The Dark Knight. But yes, no. It's not as good, but it's still in the top half of Marvel movies for me.
Yeah, it's no Civil War, but it's also definitely no Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So somewhere the high middles is what I would put it in there. I would see it again. I am going to see it again with my girlfriend, and and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to kick off the summer. It's a fun time, definitely to be had by all.
I'm trying so hard not to sneeze right now. I apologize if I do. I got a little bit of an allergy going on.
I know. One last weakness. For me, the soundtrack wasn't as great as the first one.
But I knew it was gonna not have a good soundtrack. Than that.
Yeah.
Not that it wasn't a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
It was different. It was like a different decade. So, again, I suspect that if my parents went to go see it, they may have enjoyed the music. Whereas the music in the first one, it was still a lot of stuff you recognized or heard. You may not known the name of the song, but you know the song. There was a lot of songs in here that it was like what Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were actually in there, but that type of music.
That tone. And
not my cup of tea.
I think that's the biggest difference. In the first one, there was the sad, not sad, but like, more melancholy kind of songs. And then there was also the Hooked on a Feeling. And there was no Hooked on a Feeling in this movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, go see it.
Yeah,
I
100%.
Definitely go see it in theaters. It's definitely I'm definitely gonna put it into my collection of Blu-ray DVDs because I still buy those. I thought it was good.
What's your score?
I thought I was gonna give it a 9. Because the first one for me was almost a 10. I'm gonna say it was a 10. I'm gonna give this one an 8.5. I don't think it was perfect, but I think it was only because it had to follow one of the best Marvel films ever made.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in the car I said I was going to try to give it 8.5. I'm going to go a little bit lower, 7.5, just because, the Baby Groot stuff, it didn't work for me. Some of the comedy didn't work for me. One of the relationships didn't work for me. But a lot of it did work for me. It sounds like I'm poo-pooing, but I would definitely recommend it to anybody who asks me.
And I absolutely feel when I take my girlfriend, the things that you didn't like are going to be things that she liked about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just one of those things. I think they want to try to appeal to everyone. And it did. But in doing that, it alienated during some scenes for some people.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, all movies do that. You know what I mean? The Martha scene alienated a lot of people. No, I'm not one of them. But that's another question for another video, as always. That's going to do it for this review. As always, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at The Great Rambino.
I am Marcus F. Nartatez, or Marcus Nartatez. I have 2. I may keep them both. I may get rid of them. Get rid of one.
Follow both of them.
So whoever, follow both.
And that's going to do it for this review. And in case we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Thanks for watching.